As the believers rush into the hidden cavern, the air around them becomes cold and damp. The darkness is thick, almost suffocating, but the faint glow from the remnants of the scroll still lights their way. Deep within the cavern, they find what appears to be an ancient underground sanctuary, carved from the rock. It bears inscriptions of Hebrew, Greek, and symbols from various ancient cultures, a sign that others have used this place as a refuge during times of tribulation throughout history. The child, still clutching the woman's hand, looks up at her with frightened eyes, and asks, "Will they find us here?" She kneels down, her voice soft but steady. "Fear not, little one. The Lord is our hiding place and shield. He will cover us under his wings." Her words offer comfort, yet the sounds from outside, the whirring of machinery, and the heavy march of boots, grow louder, reminding everyone that danger is closing in. Suddenly, a rumble reverberates through the cavern, causing dust and debris to fall from the ceiling. The group realizes that the forces outside have found their location and are attempting to breach the sanctuary. As panic begins to spread, one of the older men, who had been a pastor before the tribulation, speaks up. "We must not lose heart." The word says, "When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him." We need to seek the Lord's guidance for our next step. As the pastor speaks, the remnants of the scroll begin to glow once more. The ashes lift off the ground and form into a new symbol in mid-air, the seal of the Lion of Judah. The believers gasp as a sudden rush of wind fills the cavern, and from the shadows emerges a majestic figure dressed in shining white robes, holding a staff. His face radiates a holy light that dispels the darkness. He raises his staff, and with a voice like thunder, declares, "Do not be afraid, I have come to strengthen you for the battle ahead." The figure, who appears to be an angel, touches the ground with his staff, and water begins to flow from a crack in the rock, providing the group with refreshment. He then instructs them, "You must go deeper into the sanctuary, for there you will find an ancient altar. Kneel before it and pray, and the Lord will show you a way out. But beware, many will be tempted to forsake the path of righteousness for the allure of false peace and comfort." With this warning, the angel vanishes, and the group quickly moves further into the depths of the cavern, following the flow of the newly formed stream. The path grows narrower and colder, but a faint light can be seen at the end of the tunnel. As they approach the ancient altar, they find it covered in dust and moss, with an inscription that reads, "He who endures to the end shall be saved." The believers kneel around the altar and begin to pray earnestly, asking for God's deliverance. As they pray, the cavern walls start to glow, and a vision unfolds before them, showing the fate of those who have already succumbed to the rule of the Antichrist. Cities lay in ruins, marked with the sign of the beast. People wander the streets, either bearing the mark or hunted for refusing it. It becomes clear that the world outside is descending further into chaos. At that moment, a hidden passage opens beside the altar, revealing a narrow stairway carved into the rock, leading upward. The pastor takes the lead, and the group begins to ascend. Just as they are about to reach the top, the sound of approaching soldiers echoes through the passageway. The child looks back in fear, and the woman pulls him closer. "Keep moving, don't look back," she urges. The stairway leads to an exit that opens onto a high cliff, overlooking a barren landscape. As the group emerges, they see the advancing army below. Among them are humanoid robots, with red, glowing eyes, and in their midst, rides the Antichrist himself, leading the charge. The believers have no choice but to descend the cliffside and continue fleeing, clinging to the hope that the Lord will guide their steps. In the distance, the sun begins to rise, casting a crimson glow over the land, a stark reminder that the battle is far from over. The next step in their journey will demand even greater courage, for they will soon face trials that go beyond mere physical endurance, testing their very souls. The journey through the rugged wilderness is exhausting, and supplies are running low. The group of believers presses on, driven by faith and the memories of the angel's promise, yet they know that the forces of darkness are relentless. The constant tension of being hunted wears on them, and doubts begin to creep in. They pray for strength and guidance, knowing that any moment could bring a confrontation. Their fears become reality when, one night, Just before dawn, they are ambushed. Soldiers, robots, and drones surround the group, their red eyes glowing ominously in the dim light. The believers are quickly overpowered, bound, and led away to a fortified encampment in a barren valley, a place where those who refuse the mark of the beast are brought for processing. As they arrive at the encampment, they see rows of metal cages filled with other captives. Screams of agony and cries for mercy fill the air, mixed with the mechanical hum of machinery. The captives are separated into lines, one for those willing to take the mark, another for those who resist, and a third for executions. The group is forced into the line for those who resist. As they are herded forward, they pass a platform where a man kneels before a tribunal of soldiers and a high-ranking officer who is clearly marked with the sign of the beast. The officer's voice is cold and devoid of emotion. You have a choice. Take the mark and live, or reject it and face execution. We offer you a quick death by electrocution, or a slow, painful one. Choose now. The man lifts his head and says, I will never bow to the beast. Jesus Christ is Lord. The officer nods to the guards, who drag the man toward a large metal chair with electrical restraints. A lever is pulled, and electricity courses through his body, ending his life. The believers in line watch in horror, their faith tested by the brutal reality of the situation. As they move closer to the platform, some among the group begin to waver. One young woman, trembling with fear, whispers, maybe we should just take the mark. We could still worship God in secret. Her older brother, standing beside her, grips her hand tightly. No, we must not compromise. Remember what the angel showed us. This world is passing away, but God's kingdom is forever. When the woman with the scroll steps onto the platform, she is offered the same choice. The officer, who seems to recognize something different about her, smirks as he speaks. I sense power in you. Why waste it? Take the mark, and I promise you'll be given a place of authority under the new world order. She replies with a calm yet resolute voice, my allegiance belongs to the King of Kings, not the prince of this world. Her refusal echoes through the camp, stirring the faith of the other captives. One by one, the believers are given the choice. Some choose death, remaining faithful to the end. Others, unable to bear the fear of suffering, give in, and receive the mark. As they do, a dark cloud seems to settle over them, and the glow in their eyes fades to emptiness. Among those who stand firm is a young boy, no older than 12, who bravely declares, I belong to Jesus. The soldiers drag him toward the electric chair, but just as they are about to activate the switch, a flash of blinding light fills the sky, causing the machinery to short-circuit. The boy is left unharmed, his bonds miraculously loosed. The chaos that follows is swift. The encampment is thrown into disarray as alarms blare and soldiers scramble to regain control. Amid the confusion, the believers seize the opportunity to escape, fleeing toward the nearby hills. However, not all are able to make it out. Many of their brothers and sisters remain behind, choosing to face death rather than surrender their faith. As they run, the woman with the scroll looks back at the encampment and sees the Antichrist himself, now standing on the platform, his eyes fixed on her. He raises his hand, and with a voice that seems to pierce through the very air, he declares, I will hunt you down, no matter where you hide. The end is near, and your God cannot save you. Yet, even in the midst of these threats, a deep sense of peace fills her heart. She knows that the tribulation has a purpose, and that the trials will ultimately refine the faithful. The group, though smaller than before, presses on toward the mountains, where a prophecy speaks of a place prepared for them, a place where they will be nourished for a time and times, and half a time.
I hear the call within the fight.